Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 101. You can only go forward by making mistakes. Alexander McQueen.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my Indie Film Hustlers, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Now, today's show is sponsored by VideoBlocks. Now, VideoBlocks is a subscription-based stock media company that gives you unlimited access to premium stock footage everyone could afford. If you're looking for like extra exterior shots or things that you might want to incorporate into any of your projects, whether that be a narrative, documentary, music videos, commercials, these guys got you covered. They've got unlimited daily downloads from a library of over 115,000 HD video clips, as well as a huge selection of After Effects templates for like opening credits, motion graphics, titles, company logos, as well as motion backgrounds as well. It's pretty amazing. And on average, subscribers pay less than $1 per download in a course of a year. And the content does not get stale. They're constantly adding new content to the library every month. So it keeps it very, very fresh, and you always have something new to look forward to. And everything you download is 100% royalty free. Even if your subscription is canceled, you have unrestricted usage rights for anything you want to do, including personal projects and commercial projects, and you keep whatever you download and maintain the usage rights forever. Now, VideoBlocks is offering The Tribe a yearly subscription for $99. That's $50 off the usual price tag, just for you guys, just for The Tribe. That's less than $10 a month. So to get this deal, just head over to videoblocks.com/hustle. That's VideoBlocks, VIDEO blocks.com/hustle for this exclusive offer. And don't forget to go to freefilmbook.com. That's freefilmbook.com to download your free filmmaking audiobooks from Audible. So after the immense success of episode number 98 on how to pimp out a BlackMagic rig for my experiences on This Is Meg, I've been getting multiple messages and emails about, can you tell us how you recorded audio, Alex, on such a small budget? So I decided to put together this episode on how to pimp out an audio rig on the cheap. And this is something that I did not know much about prior to shooting This Is Meg. I did a ton of research, and I also took a course that is offered in the Indie Film Hustle's film school online. It is called Sound for Indie Film, Recording Audio Like a Pro. I really did not have a lot of experience, if much at all, using recording audio. I always had a sound guy. I always had budgets to hire a professional sound guy with a professional mixer, but this movie was not that kind of movie, and I wanted to see again as an experiment how good I can get the audio and how good I can get the image and so forth. So audio was definitely a big part of that. So by the way, I will leave links for the course and all of the equipment that I'm talking about in the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/101. And in that course, I learned a lot about cardioid mics and hypercardioid mics, and how to record really good audio. And the key is, a lot of people think they could just slap even a good mic, even a $20,000 mic on the top of a camera and record an actor across the room, and that you're going to get crisp and clear audio. No, you're not. It's going to sound horrible. The quality of the audio is only as good as, one, the mic, but more importantly, how close you can get to the subject you're recording. And that is one of the biggest tips I can give you, is try to get that mic as close as humanly possible to the subject, because that's when you're going to get that crisp, clean audio. And then I'll talk about qualities of mics moving forward later in the episode, but that is number one right there. Even with a lower quality mic, getting it really close to your subject is going to give you really surprisingly good audio. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, do you use lav microphones, which are the little mics. If you guys don't know what a lav is, it's a little mic that you put on underneath the actor's clothes or on their skin themselves, and they have a little battery pack with a little transmitter that transmits the audio across the room to the receiver, where then it records the audio. Now, I've had a lot of experiences with lavs. Lavs are awesome, and especially if you got good lavs, really great. But there's a lot of things, especially on a film like this, which was, I didn't have the personnel to kind of be dealing with it. So what I did was I decided not to use any lavs at all. The problem sometimes with lavs is interference with the sound in general, because it's transmitting over airwaves. So that, you could pick up, a baby monitor or a bunch of different, signals that are flying around in the air. That's problem number one. Problem number two is batteries. You have to be constantly, unless you're plugged into a wall or an electrical socket of some sort, which I don't see many lavs do. That kind of defeats the purpose. Lavs, you need to put batteries in them, and they just drink up batteries like it's water, man. It really is. So imagine if you haven't changed those batteries, if you're alone or on a small crew and you don't have a dedicated audio guy on your crew, then the battery can go dead on you right in the middle of an amazing take. Or multiple takes that you haven't even noticed that the batteries are gone. So that's one of the things I didn't want to have to deal with on this show. So I decided not to use any lavs at all. I decided to get the best way I can get clean audio was with a mic and a boom pole. But first and foremost, what are you going to record this on? So I had the BlackMagic, and I love the BlackMagic, as everybody knows, but audio recording on the BlackMagic sucks. I hate to say it, it sucks. So we tried patching it in to the audio jacks of the actual camera. It just sounds horrible. I actually took it to my post sound guys, and we ran tests to see why I'm like, this mic is good. Why does it sound like crap? So the second I put it into an external recording device, the mics were fine, but the thing was not. The audio going into the camera was not. So I would always avoid recording into the camera. Even a Red or an Alexa, always have it recording on a secondary system. So whatever that system might be, I'm going to tell you what my system was. So the big thing I used was the Tascam DR40 4-track portable digital recorder. Now this little guy has amazing customer reviews on Amazon. And again, don't worry about it. If you want to get links to this stuff, go to indiefilmhustle.com/101. So don't think I have to write it all down. It's all in the show notes. Now, with this, it costs $147, guys. $147, and you can put a little SD card in. About 8 gigs will last you all day comfortably. You could literally just sit there and record for hours, and you should be fine. If you want to get a 16 gig SD card, which is the little card that actually recording media, and then you get a little adapter that you can plug into your Mac or into your computer to download the audio files. The Tascam is great. It's super easy to learn. It's not complicated. It took us a minute to figure some stuff out, but once you figured it out, it's super easy. It's really good. Now, it has a preamp inside, so you don't have to worry about preamp. Now, the mixer is the big thing a lot of people talk about. Is like, well, do I need a mixer? Yes, you do. It would really be nice. But on, again, our project, because of the kind of movie it was, which is basically dialogue-driven, character piece, unless they were going to start yelling and screaming, it wouldn't really matter as much. So a lot of times I had the sound guy, and when I'll talk about the sound guy in a minute, he'll ride the levels, because you can actually go up and down on the side of it and actually kind of ride the levels. Like, so if it's really getting low, you either get closer to the subject, or you push the levels up a little bit. Just make sure it doesn't pop. You can never make it pop. So you have to get a little bit. You have to get in within probably the 85 to 90%. If 100 is popping, you want to get into the 85, 90 and live there. You can work it at 70%, let's say, on the levels, but you rather keep it in that 85, 90, 95 even world, because that's what audio post is really going to love you for. Now, this little puppy is battery powered. Now, you can either get, I think it's 4 or 6, or 3, actually, AA batteries, which will last you quite some time. Now, I would suggest you have those in there, but what I did is I got myself a little $20 rechargeable, the same one that's in the same battery pack that I charged up the monitor's adapter, the HDMI to BNC adapter on the BlackMagic rig, which is basically this little charger. It's one of those little superchargers that will charge up your iPhone or your iPad really fast on the road. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. So you always have like an extra battery source, so you don't have to plug in somewhere. I just used that and I strapped it to the end of the to the Tascam, and that thing will keep that Tascam going for days. And for whatever reason, if a cable gets knocked out or something like that, you've got the backup battery power of the actual unit. So it just worked wonderfully. I can't even explain to you how cool it was. And a lot of people ask me, like, how did you get it? Like, what did you hang it on? Did you have a some sort of rig or something? What I did is I got myself but you can purchase yourself a $20 little, DSLR or $15 DSLR pair of sticks. And it's really small, something that's built literally for a DSLR. And I strapped it into that. And then the audio guy would just sit right next to you, next to him, and he would record it. Now, it was really, really, really simple, really, really cool. Now, with that, I keep talking about the audio guy. The audio guy was non-existent. We did not have an audio guy on this movie. What we didn't have a professional mixer. We didn't have a professional sound guy. What I did have is educated guys. I had about 3 of them for scheduling reasons, not because they weren't good. They were all excellent. I needed someone to hold the boom, because when I started to price out what it would cost to get a sound guy in, I'm like, I can't afford that for this movie. Really, just not really the kind of scope of the movie that we're working on. So I'm like, I need a boom guy. And then the boom guys were, getting a little bit pricey as well. So I wanted to make sure I found someone, and I was lucky enough to find 3 guys who were, some of them were actual boom guys. I've had experience doing boom, and they just held a boom. They didn't know it. I taught them how to use the Tascam on the day. And it was super simple, super simple, super affordable. And that's something I would suggest you do. Again, you got to make sure whoever's holding that boom understands what they're doing. Even the basics, frame line, things like that. But if they have any questions, let them see that course, because that course goes like about 4 or 5. I think it's like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours of stuff. And it teaches you everything about audio, how to record great audio. I'm telling you, that is the course that I took to be able to record audio on This Is Meg. So I'm very grateful to the course. Now, the next thing you need to get is XLR cables. XLR cables are professional audio recording cables. They're really inexpensive. I got myself like a 3-footer for like close counters, like really stuff that when I attached the camera, the mic to the camera, which I did at the beginning of the movie, but I wouldn't suggest doing. But if you're just doing some nat sound, it kind of works, and it was perfectly fine. But I would recommend getting at least a 10-foot, 15-foot, or 25-foot. I would say 10-foot minimum. Then maybe get I would always have extra cables with you, and they're really inexpensive. A 10-foot cable costs you $8.99 on Amazon. 15-foot costs $9.99, and a 25-foot costs $14.99. Now, if you're going to be doing things from a huge distance, which I don't think you'd get a 100-foot, but I wouldn't suggest that. 25-foot should be more than enough. Gives the audio guy or the boom guy plenty of slack to move around and things like that if you have long takes or something like that. So it works really, really great. So XLRs, very important. Now, the next big thing I got was the boom pole. Now, there's the Rode boom pole microphone boom arm. Now, the Rode one, and the Rode is a manufacturer of amazing mics. We're going to go over the mics that we used, and they were amazing. The boom pole is $149. Now, you can use this boom pole, but I also found other boom poles like on eBay, which were like $70, which were very equivalent to the Rode one. And I'm not sure if it's there anymore, but if not, the Rode one works amazingly well. I had a friend of mine let us borrow one for one of the days, and that's where I got the idea of like, hey, I need to get a better boom pole. So it's really cool, really good, and I would suggest you getting it. Now, that boom pole, make sure it's light. Make sure it's something that works with it's pretty standard though, the mics, the mic mounts and stuff like that, pretty standard. So I definitely, a good boom pole with some nice cushion on the end, your sound guy will love you for it. But also, by the way, a lot of times if you hire a boom guy, he might have his own pole. One of our boom guys one day had his own boom pole that he feels comfortable with. It was like an $800 boom pole that he just has because that's his business. So you can kind of package it out. So look for guys that have maybe even higher end equipment than you do. You never know. But I'm going again, this is what I did for This Is Meg, and what has worked for me on This Is Meg. And I know it's worked because I'm in audio as we speak. We're doing the final mix of the movie, and my sound house was very happy with the sound of the movie. We only had to ADR 2 lines in the entire movie, and that were Jilly's lines, and we knew that we had to ADR them because the sound was like too windy or something like that outside. Other than that, everything else was usable. So it's pretty amazing. So this system that I'm telling you can work and does work from my experience. So the mics that I use, I had 2 mics on this show. I had a Rode NTG2. Now that's a shotgun condenser mic. Now I've had this mic for a long time. It's a really good little mic. Costs around $269. It's a good little mic. Is it the best? No. Is it something I would use again? Yes, depending on the situation. There was one night scene that we had no choice but to use this mic because the other mic that I'm going to talk about in a minute didn't have a blimp or anything else like that. So we used this mic, and I was kind of scared. I was like, man, this is kind of low, but we worked with it, and I was surprisingly amazed at how good the sound worked because we pumped up the levels a little bit, made sure that mic was a little bit closer than normal to the actors, and it sounded amazing. So again, it's not always the quality of the mic. It's really how close you can get to it. Of course, a good mic always helps, which is what I'll talk about in a second with the next mic we used. But it's always about how close you can get to your subject. Now, the mic that we used, I'm going to say about 90% to 95% of the time on this movie was the Rode NT3. It is a hypercardioid mic. In the course, they'll teach you more about what a cardioid and a hypercardioid is, but understand that this mic is built for dialogue. It has a very nice range of where it can pick up audio, and when I plugged this in, only ever using the N2, the NT3, when I listened to the audio diff, I was like, oh my God, it was amazingly different, and it was so good, and ever since then, the rest of the movie was recorded in that. It was really amazing. And it's only $269 as well. So really, the best bang for your buck if you're going to do interior dialogue, this mic is awesome. Now, and again, you can use this mic exteriorly with a blimp, but I'll talk about blimps in a minute. Now, if you want to get a shotgun mic, a little bit higher end shotgun mic, I don't have this one, but I hear it's really good, as the Rode NTG4, which is basically the one level up from the NTG2. And that one is a plus shotgun microphone. It's $369. I hear nothing but good things about this mic, and I definitely would suggest it if you want a good shotgun mic. Again, a little bit more expensive than the mics that I used, but again, if you have a little bit extra cash, it's a good investment to have. Now, one mistake that we did make, and it wasn't a mistake, we just didn't have the equipment on the day, is when you put one of these mics to the boom pole, if you don't have some sort of shock mount on it, anything that boom guy does, holding it, moving it, clinking it, that mic will pick up. So there was one scene that we did, which we actually deleted that scene out of the movie. It didn't work. That's the one scene in the movie that we decided to cut, which worked out great. Not because of the audio, but just because it just didn't work for what we were trying to do with the movie. But we didn't have this shock mount, and that shock mount, you could hear a little bit of like this clicking and pounding a little bit just by him moving his hands. You heard everything. So you definitely need a shock mount. The one I suggest is the Rode SM4 microphone shock mount for all the NT models. So it will work on the NT3, NT4, or NT5 models. It's perfect. I put it on, never had a problem again. It's $50, $49.95. Also, by the way, guys, Rode has not paid me a dime to do anything that I'm talking about here. This is all my experience. I'm just relaying good information for good quality products. Like I said, on the BlackMagic episode, BlackMagic hasn't called me, or any other Camtree or any of those guys never have contacted me, nor have they been paid to promote any of this stuff. This is just my truthful, honest opinion of these products that actually worked for what I did with This Is Meg. So the Rode SM4 shock mount, absolutely, without question, can't do without it. You have to have it. Now, there is another option called the Movi kind of camera shoe shock mount, which is great. That it's great for a shotgun mount as well, and it works for the NTG2 shotgun mic. It's only $12.95. Now, again, when you buy these cheaper brands, the rubber bands might break or something like that. So you have to be careful with it. So you might want to just invest in a little bit higher quality with the Rode. But if you're and I bought this one too, by the way. This is the one I use for the NGT2 mic. Definitely something you can use. Movo, MOVO, and I'll put a link of that in the description as well. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. Now, the one really cool thing I did get and I did use on occasion is the Rode PG2 pistol grip shock mount for shotgun mics. Now, what this is basically it's exactly what it says, a pistol grip that you can put. You could either hold it by your hand and use it like a pistol, or you can put it on the end of a boom pole, and that way you can actually go in close, and it's really cool. I mean, you'll see pictures of it in the show notes. Really cool. It's $72.50. Now, what I did because I didn't have the mount that I needed for the NT2, I actually physically cut it, so I can fit a wider the wider mic, which is the NT2. But it worked fine, and it was great, and I could still use it for the shotgun mount. That is one I would really recommend you guys get, as opposed to the other shock mounts. This one really is excellent. It's a little bit more meaty than the other shock mounts. You have to worry about rubber bands or anything like that. So what I would like to discuss now is the dead cat. Now, I know that sounds mean, but that is a technical term. It is a dead cat or a dead wombat, depending on where you are in the world. But here in the US, we call it a dead cat. Now, a dead cat is basically a windscreen. It's something that you can toss onto your microphone if you're outside, to get rid of all the wind, because without a windscreen or a blimp, and I'll talk about blimps in a minute, you will get all the sound of the wind hitting your mic, and it's just horrendous. This little dead cat that I got, which is the Rode WS6 Deluxe Shotgun Mic windscreen, it's $58.90. Now, guys, that really the outside external scene that we did, which was night, windy, a lot of people. This is the only thing I had that and the N2 shotgun mic, which was my lesser of the two mics. So I was really worried, really scared. And oh my God, this combination was amazing. It really, really worked wonderfully. This dead cat is really, really great. And it works great with that microphone. So definitely, if you're going to be outside, you might not have to invest in a blimp. This might work. If you're going to be using a shotgun mic, and do a lot of exteriors, you can just do the shotgun mic with this dead cat, or the deluxe shotgun microphone windscreen, as they call it. And finally, what we did not have on this entire shoot was a blimp. I did have a blimp on the very first day, but it broke, so we didn't use it, and that's why I started looking for this dead cat windscreen instead. But generally speaking, any good audio kit's going to have a blimp. So again, it depends on the kind of movie you're making, but I didn't have one, but you should probably get a blimp, a good one at that. So the Rode makes a good blimp called the Rode Blimper blimp with a suspension system inside of it. And basically a blimp is something that just covers up the microphone, again, to protect it from wind, and also does a nice suspension of it so you don't hear any of that clinking and clanking and things like that. Really, really good little system as well. You could find, now this is the one thing I did find out, guys. If you go cheap on a blimp, and by the way, $298 is super cheap. They go up to thousands of dollars, these blimps. It's kind of crazy, the pricing. So Rode is probably the cheapest good quality one you're going to find. I did purchase one for probably like $120 on eBay from China, and it broke on day one, and we barely got it to work, and we were barely able to use it on that day. So, be careful. Be careful when you're buying this kind of equipment, because it's really sensitive, has to be good. Now, you also should buy a dead cat with it, which is a windscreen that you can purchase separately to put on top of the blimp, and then now you're as protected from the wind as you possibly humanly can. So that is the kit, guys. That is as simple as it is. You will find all the links to everything I used in the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com filmmaking.com/101. But the one thing I wanted to talk to you, and I've talked about this product on the show before, and I would not, and I repeat, would not have been able to do this film without it in a timely fashion. It's called Pluralize. Now, Pluralize did give me a evaluation copy. So they did, to be in full disclosure, did give me a free copy of this so I can use. But if I didn't like it, I wouldn't say anything about it. So it is amazing, guys. I cannot explain to you how remarkable it is. You literally just drop your audio, drop your video into its program. You can actually have it as a plugin for other editing programs like Adobe Premiere and so forth. But they have their own standalone program, which is what I used. So you literally just take your audio file, dump it in. Take your video file, dump it in. And it doesn't do it by time code. It does it by the waveform. So you literally just hit sync. And by some sort of magic that I still don't understand, it syncs it up for you perfectly. I've yet we didn't have one problem syncing audio in all of This Is Meg. And since then, I've used it on other projects of mine and have never had a problem. It is rock freaking solid, guys. It's awesome. I'll leave you a link in the show notes as well where you guys can get it. It's really affordable. I think it's like $299, but my God, the amount of time it saves you, it is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So that's how I was able to use an external audio recorder, and sync it up so quickly. Quickly for This Is Meg from the BlackMagic. So definitely check that out. Now, I hope this episode has helped you guys out a bit as far as audio. There's a lot of research I did to get to where this is, to get to this podcast. So I hope my research and time and kind of just being a guinea pig or crash test dummy, if you will, for this process has helped you guys a bit to go out and make your own movie and go out and make it without the fear of, I need to hire a big audio guy. And again, I'm not saying you don't need audio people. You definitely do. I would have loved to have one. Like, I would have loved to have a lot of things on this project. But it all depends on the kind of project you're going to do. And when you're starting out, you got to do everything DIY, man. You got to do as much as you can. But now it's super affordable to get really high quality audio. So for under $800, under $800 to $1,000, you can get a whole audio rig that will work for you for multiple movies, multiple projects down the line. Very, very affordable. Definitely something I would suggest you do. And even if you don't have an audio guy or sound guy, if you have a sit-down scenario, if you have a sit-down scene where people are around the table, if you have interview situations, you buy yourself a C-stand or a mic stand of some sort, and you can plug all this stuff into it and let it sit off to the side and just hang it there. And you literally don't even need a sound guy for certain scenes. Would I suggest a sound person or somebody in the boom? Absolutely, because they can follow people and do things that C-stand cannot. But again, in a pinch, that works as well. So again, guys, I hope this helped you guys out a lot. Of course, head to the show notes at indiefilmhustle.com/101. Now, guys, don't forget that until Thursday, end of day Thursday, we are still giving away one free month of the Indie Film Syndicate for you guys to check it out. So all you have to do is go to, obviously, the show notes, or you can go to indiefilmhustle.com/IFH100, and that'll give you one free month. It'll take you right there. The code, of course, is IFH100 for whatever reason if the link doesn't work, but it should work fine. Click on that link or go to that website, and you'll get one free month of the Indie Film Syndicate, and you guys can check out all the great content, all the great courses, be part of the Facebook group that is growing, and it's just a really great little community of filmmakers helping each other out, asking questions, and it's really, really cool and wonderful, and I really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to check it out. So again, indiefilmhustle.com/IFH100. Now, final note, guys, I'm giving you an update on This Is Meg. We are in final mix this week. We are getting everything ready for the Sundance submission date, which is at the end of this week. So we're rushing, going crazy. And I'm still, with all of that, sitting here right now recording this episode for you guys. This is how much I love you guys. Anybody else would have just said, hey, screw it. I'm just going to take the week off. I got too much to do. But I love you guys. I love the tribe, man. And I got to keep giving you guys as much information and inspiration as I can. That's my job. So I'm going to try to do as much of that as I can and still get This Is Meg ready for Sundance. So it sounds great, by the way. We did ADR last Friday with Jilly. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. It looked great, sounded great so far. Chris Velasco is my composer on this. He also was my composer on Red Princess Blues and Red Princess Blues Genesis. And if you want to hear his interview, just go to indiefilmhustle.com/082. But it will be in the show notes as well. So I cannot wait, guys, cannot wait to get this out into the world and you guys to see it. As soon as this is done and put in the can, I'm going to be working on a movie trailer for this, which will be the first time you guys will see anything about the movie. And that's going to probably be in at least 4 to 6 weeks. Give me some time to get it all together. But it's going to be exciting. And then let's see what happens, man. We're going to go on this trip together. Let's see what happens with this little movie that we started in April. And we're finishing it basically in September. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with the whole process, with the film festivals, how it's received, how we distribute it, and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm glad you guys are on the journey with me, man. I really am. And like I said before, if it wasn't for you guys, I don't think I would have had the gumption to get off the ground and do This Is Meg. So I did a lot of it just because I wanted to help you guys and show you that it can be done. So hopefully I'm inspiring a few of you guys out there to go out there and tell your own stories and make your own movies. All right. By the way, if you guys have not had a chance to go check out some of my older work, some of my short films, which I now have on Amazon Video Direct, head over to indiefilmhustle.com/Amazon, and it'll take you directly to Amazon Video Direct, where you can actually watch for free, if you have Prime, Red Princess Blues Genesis, Sin, and the movie that started it all for me, which was Broken, which is now going on 12 years old. But you can take a look at it and see what we were able to do back then. And if you like it, please leave me a review. It really helps us out a lot. And I'm going to be doing a future episode on how much money I'm actually making on Amazon Video Direct and show you some stuff. I'm going to do a whole video on that, as well as a podcast explaining the process of what it took to get it on there and all sorts of cool stuff about Amazon Video Direct. But if you want to check it out, see what I did, and let me know what you think. So keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.